All right, next up on the show is Eddie Solis, a realtor with Empire Realty Group, who specializes in working with military members. Eddie, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You bet. So you've got a military background, yes?
Yes, sir.
So tell me a little bit about that.
So I did 8 years in the Air Force. The main reason why I chose the Air Force is just because it was down the street from where I lived. Like I could literally hear taps at 9 o'clock, and I would always be like, "What is that noise going on over there? Are they charging or something right now? What's happening?" And it was great to finally, like, you know what, let me take the plunge, let me join in the military. And I loved it. It was a great way to see the world. I wanted to get out away from San Antonio because at that time I never left Texas. So it was a great way in the military itself. So I started off doing security forces, which is just a cop in general. And then I've had this opportunity to advance my career in something called the Raven program. In the Raven program, we pretty much protect high-end people from the main Mr. President himself, VP, and all the three-letter agencies along the way. So I literally lived out of a bag for 4 or 5 years. As soon as I landed, I flew all over the world, like on a moment's notice, South Carolina, down to South America, down to Africa, Afghanistan, Germany, which I loved it. The wife didn't love it so much, though. She was like, I never get to see you plan a weekend with you. And I was like, hey, unfortunately, it's what happens. But I loved every moment in the military. The military helped me be the person I am. It helped me with my leadership skills to grow, and that carried over tremendously to my personal career now.
So you came out of the military and jumped right into real estate. What made you want to go into real estate specifically?
Great question. So while I was in the military, I saw the opportunity to start investing. So I bought a home, and then in that single home that I had, a small little 1,200 square foot home, I had one of my buddies say, hey man, can I come live with you? And I was like, sure, why not? I'm never home. I only had a 3-bedroom house. So the next thing you know, another person moved in. And then I was like, I'm never home myself anyway. Let me rent out my own home. So I was living literally in the living room. And then I was like, you know what? I'm making all this money. I was like, let me buy another house. And then some of the troops are like, man, I see you, having this extra funds. Like, where do you get this from? And I told him, I was like, well, you go out and as soon as you got the barracks, you move right into a rental. And then you're just giving away money. And by the time you move out to your next place, well, that's it. They give you a handshake and maybe you don't even get your security deposit back. And I told him, look, when I leave here, I have equity in my home. I can either sell it out or I can keep running it to what I'm doing now. And while I was getting out, I ended up helping like 10 other people in my little group that I had. And then I ended up becoming the go-to guy for whenever somebody got the barracks, they'll go talk to me first. Like, hey, go talk to Sergeant Solis before you go buy your rental, before you move out. And it just, that feeling and just knowing that my guys are going to walk away with money when they end up leaving that place. Because so many times I heard the thing like, well, I can't get out the military because I can't afford it. Or I'm scared, I don't know what to do when I get out the military. And that just let me know on a bigger scale, look, I'm helping these people out, in the long term.
There's a lot of trust between the military members as well. So you being, prior military, you've got that connection. You speak the lingo, you know what I mean?
And I never thought that was true because my wife's also a veteran as well. And she got out before me. And she was like, you don't understand the way it is out here. Like, as soon as you meet another vet, like, you instantly become brothers and sisters. And I'm like, And it wasn't until I got out, like, you said it perfect. I can never have seen this person as person, but if I meet them at, like, at a networking event, like, boom, we were just boys, or they're like my sisters along the way. And we just try to help out one another. It's amazing.
So speaking of leadership, you didn't mention that you were a red rope back in the day. We were talking the other day and he mentioned the red rope and I'm like, I know that term. So if you're ever in the Air Force and gone through like the law enforcement or security forces, you know what he's talking about on the red rope. So that was cool. But leadership is a big thing. And I'm in one of your, I'm in BNI group that you head up and you really helped form it, right? It was you and just a few other people, but you led the charge on that. And it is very well run. If you've ever been to it, it's very well run. The people there are super motivated, and that's not by accident. So you were telling me when you're putting it together, you were looking for a specific type of person or people to be part of that group. So tell me a little bit about that because I think this is very interesting.
So I went to a BNI just not knowing what it was at all. I showed up and I was like, to be honest, because I'm always blunt and everybody knows me for it, like I thought it was lame. I thought it was boring. I thought it was wasting my time. People were clapping for each other. I'm like, what kind of cultist thing am I sitting in right now? Because I like to think of it myself as the normal person. I mean, everybody's normal, right? But as long as it just felt weird. And I got asked again to go back and I was like, okay, I'll never go again. That's what I told myself. I was like, let me go in at this time with a clear mind. And how would I make it mine? So with that mindset, I went in there and I was like, I wouldn't have this person on my team. But then I was like, what people would I have on my team? And I was like, what's going to attract more people to come show up? And those are the people that are hungry, they're motivated, and they want to meet those like-minded people so that way they can grow their business. Too many times you hear people say, I want to be around people like me that have that mindset. So what I did was the first 8 to 10 people, I want to make sure they were hungry. They were hungry go-getters, because that's going to feed other people. When they walk in their room, they start talking to someone like, man, that person he's just on it. And I love that, because you don't want to walk into a room and then, everybody's all down and out looking at their watch. Like, I'm ready to get up and get out of here. Like, I got to be here kind of thing. So I made it the first 10, the culture. And once again, back from the military, you got to build that culture from ground up. So I said, from the first 10, they all got to be unique in their own ways, and they can't be all 10 Eddies, because if they're 10 Eddies, they're going to clash heads every time, and nobody's going to have room to talk, because he's just going to talk the whole time. So I had to make sure those first 10 were hungry, motivated. And after that, you start seeing other people start buying into it, because those people that were shy, that were timid, they started feeding off those other people. And now they are up in the front. They're talking, they're smiling, shaking hands, when before they joined the group, they were never like that. And I like to think it's the culture being built.
And Eddie, you always call people out in our BNI. And I think to the culture, what is the biggest value that you always talk about every week? I think it's made your networking so successful.
Are you talking about the giver's gain?
I am.
Giver's gain, right on the money, bang, bang. But I love to put people on blast. I love for them to talk, because it gets them out their comfort zone. And especially if you ever are a guest to our BNI, just be prepared, you will be called out. But the giver's gain mentality, I love it. And that, once again, from the military, because I was always a selfish person until I joined the military. And the military really showed that you cannot do it all on your own as much as you think you can. You have to have that team, that solid foundation. And then that made me to a givers. I was just like giving away information, free knowledge to everybody. And then once I came to BNI, that's one of their foundations. They said it's a giver's gain mentality, to where you throw it out there, and at some point, the universe is going to give it back. Don't expect it. Just give it out. And sure enough, I had people like, man, you're a great guy. Like, I can't believe you're just giving this away for free. It really is. It's just giving it out, because at some point it's going to come back and you get gratitude. I just love it. The feeling. It sounds fake. I know it does. But until you should go to one of our BNI groups, you're going to see how much a full room of people just bought into that mindset.
Well, and I think one thing that's so unique about that mentality is when people come in and they don't have that mentality, they just want to get stuff from everybody. It kind of naturally weeds them out a little bit, because the core people in the group really truly believe in that giver's gain, that abundance mentality. And that's what we're all here to do. That's a big reason that we're doing this podcast, is everybody's here to share their knowledge and to be able to have a trusted source to come to. That's so important. And when you come at it from that, you can really trust the people we work with. Have you experienced that from actually using the people in the BNI in their businesses? Yeah.
So going back a little bit to what you said, is like, I would bring heavy hitters to the BNI. That when I mean heavy hitters, like, these people were well-known people in the community and what they did. But when they got there, one of the first questions was, okay, when am I going to talk? And when are people going to listen to me? And I was like, man, to be honest, like, you already had the wrong mindset just showing up. It's like, just sit back, listen, and pick it up something. And they're like, nah, I don't want to go, because it's just not for me. And this was back when we first started, back when we could barely fill the room with 6 people. And then they come back and they see that we're 40, 50 plus in a room.
Right.
And then they're like, oh, how do I get in? And I'm like, I don't know. I think that's ship sailed.
Yeah, right.
I think we have somebody.
It's going to cost you an extra. I need an extra 50.
Well, that's the thing too, because I was there from the very get go. I mean, I remember being at just happy hours where we were all just trying to get to know each other and get this thing started. And the first few months were a little bit shaky. We were trying to get our legs, get the rhythm going, get the right group of people. And it was kind of similar to how I felt in college when I showed up and I was like, I'm here for 4 years. And then all of a sudden, like, half of my class left after the first year, and I was like, what? But it was similar, because not everybody was there for the reasons that the group had formed, but those people that stayed, I mean, I know if I use them, if I call on them, if I need their business, they're going to be there and absolutely step up and do a great job.
It's a sorting process that has to happen in everything that you do. And when you get good people in that are motivated to build relationships, at the end of the day, that's what a networking group is it's a place to build relationships with other business, not a place to take. Yeah. So if you think you're there to get referrals, just to your point, you got the wrong mindset already.
You got the wrong mindset. It took me 6 months, and I'm the president, the one talking the most, for someone to really start trusting me and started using me. And I knew that going into it, because I knew, like, I ain't going to hit the ground running and people are just going to throw stuff to me left and right. I got to earn people's trust, people already have, and in any company you're in, they're 1, 2, or 3, 1, 2, 3 realtor. I just want to be your 4th. So let me work my way and build that trust to be your number 1 eventually. And I have people in my group that they never even thought about buying a house, and they haven't told me that they want to buy a house, but they're my biggest advocate because they said, man, this guy's amazing. He's awesome. Trust him. And one person's giving me 2 deals already just because they trust me enough. And she's on the next one, by the way. She knows who she is.
All right, Eddie, we're out of time on this, but a great conversation. I love talking about leadership, and I know that you exude it. I've seen it. You know what I mean? I'm in your group for a reason. You know, I'm not by nature necessarily a follower, but I follow good leadership, and I think you excel there. So great job. If folks want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Best thing, give me a call. Let's go out for a cup of coffee, especially come out to my BNI group. So 210-683-8292.
Awesome. All right, Heather, any closing thoughts?
I think it's just great. I mean, and really touches on how we're here to really build relationships and give people value. So if you're listening and you're thinking like, I'd love to like build my business through networking, that's the key to it. It takes more time than just cold calling and knocking on doors and going direct to people. But at the end of the day, that business that comes back is way better, way easier, way higher quality than what you get from just working with people cold who don't necessarily trust you. And I think that's something that anybody can walk away and use in whatever industry they're in.
I agree. All right, as we wrap up the show, quick reminder to check out our latest podcast or catch video version of the show anytime by visiting our website at satalkradio.com. That's going to be it for us. You guys have a great week, and we will see you on the next one.
Thanks a lot.
Good job, guys.
All right, thanks.
All right.
Love it.
It was great.